tonight. So why don't you guys come on up and let's give them a round of applause. Let's real quick have a word of prayer, and then I'll turn the table over to these guys. Dear God, I just want to thank you again for this night. I just pray that you would open our hearts and our minds and our spirits open to what you would have to say to us through Rose and Bernie tonight, as their willingness to share to us as men. I just pray a blessing over them. I pray that everything that is said and done tonight would glorify you. We thank you for who you are and for what you did for us on the cross. In your name I pray. Amen.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight, and I hope that we all have a good time. Are we too close to each other?
No, you're
okay?
right.
I think I'm going to move this water because I can see me dropping it. I'm Rosa Veenstra, and this is my husband, Bernie, and a while back, Mike Serrod came into the Christian bookstore, which I own and operate, and he was talking about this great men's ministry that he's a part of on Wednesday nights, and I always enjoy speaking with Mike. I enjoy hearing about ministries that are going on around town. Being in where we are, it's kind of fun to keep a pulse on what's going on here and there. And Mike has a real heart for men and a heart for ministry. And I know Mike well enough to know that he's had some bumps along the way, but God's really used those bumps to shape him and to give him the passions that he has, and out of that comes this ministry. I'm sure he's had a huge role to play in getting this developed, and I don't even know that for sure. But anyway, I was listening to him talk about this ministry, and I don't know how long ago it was, but he said, we're looking for a woman brave enough that would speak to a group of men about what women want. And I didn't even hesitate. I said, I could do that. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't know what I just said, and I added, I think I should pray about it. And so that's what I did. I prayed about it, and then I was pretty excited about it after I'd said yes. You know, I thought, I'm a woman, and I know what women want, and I could tell men, and I could be a superwoman. I could make all the women in Pella love me for informing you of what we want, and it would just be great. But you know, every woman I told this to either laughed out loud or just smiled at me, knowing full well that I had no clue what I was getting myself into. And but every person I talked to about this had advice for me. And I was thinking, while I was writing this up, if I would have just written down the advice, did a little questionnaire, and had it all written down, I could have had a nice PowerPoint presentation for you, and you'd have black and white, and you could go home with something tangible of how you're going to deal with this woman who you really don't know what to do with most of the time, I'm sure. But I did not do that PowerPoint presentation, and I did not even do the questionnaire. But it was interesting to me how many different answers I got, and how many different women were excited about it. And so I'm going to speak into it. I hope that God uses it, that some of it will resonate with you, whether you're married or not, that there's somebody in your life that you can use it with. But I also knew that I didn't want to do it without Bernie here. Bernie and I have been married 30 years, and I have had a passion for women's ministry for a long time. I really enjoy working with women and hearing their stories and such. And we have been youth leaders for years, but Bernie did Leaders of the Harvest a few years back, and he hardly even remembers doing it, but at the end, I don't know how many of you have done the Leaders of the Harvest thing, or the Bible, or whatever they call that, BP3. Anyway, at the very end, you have to write down what you think God is calling you to, or what God's vision is for you, or something like that.
We did a retreat here.
Here at Third.
At Third, and I wrote on there, mentoring marriages. Where did that come from? I don't know. My story is marriages were falling apart all around me, and I wanted to get the commitment back in there. So enough of it fell apart. I'm one of these guys, I'm easygoing, but the dominoes are falling in. How do we do that? Am I perfect at marriage? No, but I know enough to go ahead and say, okay, we can strengthen marriages. And so I wrote on there, marriage mentoring, not even thinking that we'd even look at it or anything. Rosa looked at it.
I saw it laying there on the table, and I thought, my goodness, where did that come from? You know, and how are we going to do that? Well, it wasn't even a month later, and we got a phone call from the Neil and Angela Wilson, who are doing the sanctuary downtown on this, well, in the old city building there. And they were looking for somebody to lead up the marriage component of that ministry. And I said, who have you been talking to? And because we hadn't really told anybody that Bernie had written that and that we had been kind of talking about it. And they said, God just laid your name on our minds. And so I still, to this day, think that somebody must have clued him in on that, but
God working.
God did. So what we did then is we were trained to be marriage mentors, and we have been having a marriage Bible study, or a marriage study every Wednesday night at the sanctuary. We will do like short ones, 4 to 6 weeks, and then we'll take a few weeks off, and we'll do another short one. And we're right now in one of those little breaks, so this worked out well. But with that, we offer the mentoring, and I'll just put the advertisement in up front so I don't forget later. If anybody is interested in that, you just need to contact either Bernie or I or the sanctuary. And if you as a couple, both of you have to agree to come, would like some mentoring, and it's just a 4-week thing. We meet you, and there's a little questionnaire thing that we send in, and they say, well, there's your strengths and weaknesses, and that's where we can talk into whether it's communication or whether it's financial or whatever it is, and then we can talk into it for just 4 weeks, and then we're free to go separate ways, or if we want to commit to another 4 weeks, we can. So it is something that is free. We offer it, and if anybody's interested, you can see one of us or give one of us a call, but we'd be more than glad to walk with you as a couple however we can. So anyway, that's the advertisement for that. Well, after Mike asked me, and I was all confident and thinking that I could do all this, I got really scared. I thought, how can I tell men what women want when I don't even know what I want? I mean, we go out to eat, and Bernie will say, where do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't care. Where do you want to go? And I simply don't know what I want. As a mother, I think that's something that is inherent. When we became empty nesters, I realized that I could go to the grocery store and I had no idea what we wanted to eat, because I've always bought for our children, you know, their kind of cereal and their kind of chips or whatever, their kind of pop. And I didn't know what I liked personally. I only knew what my kids liked. And so the sad fact is a lot of women don't know what we want. And so, but I picked up a bunch of books. I picked up Love and Respect, and I read through it. And I picked up Love and War and read through it. And then this is the couple that was on that YouTube video, He Said, She Said, by Jay and Laura LaFoon. I read through that. But there's a lot of good stuff out there, but I still don't know what women want. So the topic started to kick me, and the enemy started speaking into that and saying, you know what, you don't know anything, you're not equipped, they don't want to listen to you. I don't want to talk to a group of men, and the last thing they want is someone telling them what they're doing wrong. And I simply can't do this. And I set it aside for a while. Thankfully, Mike didn't come into the store in that time period, because I was just like, I can't do this. And a couple weeks ago on that Wednesday, when we had that big snowstorm, I'm at the store all alone. I told my help they didn't have to come in, because with that much snow, we weren't going to have very many customers. And I pulled a bunch of books. I pulled from my Bibles in a couple different translations, and I had my notebook. And I walked around the store looking at books and just praying that God would lead me to what it is that I could speak into. And I just really wanted something that would help men understand us. And the book that I came across was called Lies Women Believe. And that might be a shock to you that we buy into all kinds of lies, but this book actually addresses 40 different lies that we believe. And not all of them apply to everyone, and some apply more than others, but I thought, you know, if that would help them understand what we're saying to ourselves, then maybe you could speak truth into it. And that's my hope. So the 3 lies that I picked out of there, out of those 40, was, if I feel something, it must be true. The next one was, if my circumstance were different, I would be different. And the last one was, I can do it all. And so the first one I'm going to talk into is, I can do it all. And I've got a little statistic, so bear with me while I read it. Women aged 25 to 55 are buying into the lie of being able to do it all and having it all done well. We believe we should be able to be an ideal wife and mother, keep my house clean and organized, prepare healthy meals for my family, be active in my kids' school and my church and community, stay physically fit, keep up on current events, and have a full-time job outside the home. When we believe we're supposed to juggle all these roles, we end up exhausted and overwhelmed by all the demands on our time. At some point, we will drop a plate, and something or someone will suffer, and that might be ourselves. Medical experts have dubbed it hurried woman syndrome. Symptoms include fatigue, moodiness, weight gain, and a low sex drive. And approximately 50 million American women have at least one of these symptoms. Does that resonate with any of your wives? Can you think, is anybody else sitting there saying, I gotta do it all and I gotta do it well? It is something that women fight with, and we believe we can. We can do it all. So what can you men do? Well, what I'm asking you to do is to communicate with her so she can be released from the things that you don't care about. Maybe you don't care if the house is spotless. Maybe you don't care if the dishes get done before you go to bed at night. Maybe you don't care if the bed is made. But make sure that she knows that, and help her to see that she doesn't have to do everything, just what God is calling her to do. Bernie really helped me when we bought the business by hiring a housekeeper. She comes in a couple times a month, and it has been a huge relief for me to not have to to think about, now granted it takes me a couple hours to get ready for the housekeeper to come because I don't want her to see my mess.
Like, okay, why am I paying for this? Okay. But no, it's good.
It's a mess. But he also, when the kids were younger, he played ball with them outside while he was grilling, and the kids have great memories of Bernie and playing ball. And they had their special ball, and they still talk about those the balls that they played with and all that. Just some good memory. You know, encourage her to say no to a committee. Just because somebody was praying about who to put on the committee and her name came to mind does not necessarily mean that she needs to be the one to do that. And that is definitely a tactic that the enemy will use to make us more busy than what we need to be. But if she does decide to be on that committee or does decide to be the kids' room mother, encourage her to do it well. Give her permission. But I have learned a long time ago that I run pretty much everything past Bernie, and if he doesn't think it's a good idea, it probably isn't. He knows me well.
How many hunters do we have in this crowd?